Okay. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. This is awesome. What a great opportunity to share some time with everybody. Well, I just kind of started a couple seconds early, but before I start, I just want to make sure this is the first time I'm actually running a live webinar through StreamYard. So just to make sure, can everybody hear me? Just throw me a thumbs up, throw me a comment, just to make sure everybody can hear me loud and clear before I kind of get things going. All right, awesome. Thank you. So look, man, there's a lot, quite a bit of you in here. Fantastic. Houston, Virginia, Texas, some California people, some other Florida people. Hey, Arkansas. So guys, obviously right now we have another hurricane, coming to hit Florida. I'm a South Florida resident. I'm not there right now, but we have properties there, and my mother's there, and so we're trying to hang tight and see how things are going to play out over the next couple of days. We're hoping this thing kind of slows down a little bit. So everybody, wishing everybody staying safe. If you're anywhere in Florida, I know there's some of you in here. So all right, so let's get right into this thing. So today we're talking about how you guys can create a monthly residual from ACA that can get you $10,000+ a month. Now, this is the exact formula that I basically used myself, that I've used for the last couple of years. And before we kind of get into the specifics of all of it, I'll kind of introduce myself. My name is Oscar Gonzalez. I am the founder and CEO of a company called Scale My Social, and I also run an insurance agency. So you might wonder, well, why is somebody that does marketing or somebody with a company called Scale My Social talking about making residuals on ACA? So the reason for that, guys, is I've been in insurance now for about 3 years, and I started as an ACA agent. I really started selling private health. Then I really geared up into ACA. And over the last couple of years, now I've transitioned a lot into marketing. Really, an opportunity presented itself for me. My background is really e-com. I've been running advertisements online, doing some form of fashion of ads on social media since 2012. So that's really been my strong suit. I started a company, again, to give you just a little background. I started a company back in 2012 with a friend of mine, and it was an e-com. We sold all kinds of consumer goods, and we took that company from zero to almost $7 million a year, made Inc. 5000 a couple times. And in 2019, 2020, I sold out of that business. And when I did, I kind of was trying to look for what I was going to do, right? I had some money. I was ready to invest into a business. And insurance was something that always called my attention, right? The residual of it, the longevity of it. And so I started really looking into it. And a good friend of mine, again, in South Florida, that's been in insurance for a long time, said, hey, why don't you try to bring your knowledge of ads and what we do into my business and see if you can help us kind of transition into where we're trying to go. So at the time, he was running a large call center, ACA private health, and they were generating leads and running them through call centers offshore, right? And then transferring the calls to their own agents. So he had created a really great marketing system that helped them generate leads internally, but he was using a lot of like age data and not great data that was being dialed. And so I went in and I helped them transition from that to actually generating fresh leads on Facebook, on Instagram, and doing the same process going into a call center and then transferring to his own agents. I became his media buyer for the entire agency. And when I did that, I really understood the potential, right? Because I was in a position where I was seeing volume. I was seeing hundreds of deals, thousands of deals being written on a lot of private health. He wasn't doing a lot of ACA at the time. And so I from there was offered a partnership to go into that. And I had decided that I really wanted to do something on my own. I had just gotten out of a partnership with several people through investment cycles and all kinds of things. So I wanted to do this alone. And so I did. I stepped away from that and I invested right into ACA. ACA is a business that I believe, and it has been so far, and I believe that the opportunity the next 3 to 5 years is tremendous. in the ACA business, and we'll talk about some of those reasons why. But mainly, I saw the opportunity, right? I saw something that I knew where if I could figure out how to generate the lead, step one, how to present to a person in a way that allows me to monetize that lead that comes in uh, to the most, and then that I could set up a system that would help me retain those people. When you really start calculating some of the ACA numbers, month 6, month 7, month 8, gosh, it gets really, really, really interesting. So on that journey I went in and I took everything that I knew and I started lead generating. So I started generating leads on social media, mainly TikTok back then. This was about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And I went quickly. I went quickly into it with the strategy of I want to get to step one, 250 people on my book, step two, 500, step three, 1,000. Those were my goals over the last couple of years. I'm now over, I want to say 1,200 people in the book of business. Again, I'm not even writing ACA. I do have an assistant, a couple of assistants that help me maintain my book. And then I have some ACA agents underneath me that I help them mainly with the marketing. But that was my goal. And so I went heavy into marketing, right? I set up my leads, I set up video ads, which is something that obviously that we do. And I set up the whole system. I used the CRM, workflows, which we'll talk a little bit about as we go into this. But the main thing that I focused on was, okay, how much am I going to make? Which is the number one thing, right? The first thing that we have to figure out is what is the value of an ACA customer, right? How much can I make off of one person? And then what is it going to cost me to acquire that person? Those are the two key numbers that you must understand before, or going into this open enrollment. And as a show of hands here, guys, like how many of you are already writing ACA, have existing books of business, and how many are just starting? This is going to be your first open enrollment, or you're just kind of like looking at it. Let me see some answers. That way I can kind of really mold the conversation and give everybody a bit of information that'll be valuable to them. Any ACA agency owners in here with books? First open enrollment, just starting. Fantastic. Okay, so new folks. Awesome. Okay. Great. So then I'm going to give you some information that's really going to help you out going into this open enrollment and long term, right? Second open enrollment. Nice. Okay. Fantastic. All right, good. So a lot of new folks, book of 3K. Awesome. Okay, good. So we do have some agency owners and some people that have a hefty book. Good for you guys. Awesome. So then some of you, like the guy that's got 3,000, you're going to hear some of the stuff that you probably already doing, maybe you'll pick up some good tips. So I'm going to just share kind of the strategy and how again, number one, figured out how much I can make on each person, and then figure out what it's really going to cost me to acquire each person. The first thing that I saw when I went into ACA was the opportunity that, okay, I'm going to get paid per head that's on an application. That can be an average, as most of you out there know, $18, $20, $25, just depending on the carrier. And that carrier is really commission grid. But the key is, okay, how many people do I need to add, right? Is it going to be one person on the application? Can I get to? How realistic is it that I can sign up most people that I sign up and have 3 or 4 individuals in it? And what I ended up finding through trial and error and going through is that my average is about 1.5 to 2 heads per application. That's what my book average is if I dissect it and go into it, there's a lot of single folks, and then there's quite a bit of 3 family households, 4 family households, 6 family households. And so when I average everything out, I'm somewhere in the 1.5 to 2 heads per application, which I think is pretty common out there. That's what you can kind of account and say, okay, I should be able to get at least 1.5 average heads per application. So that's number one, right? So now I know, okay, I'm going to make, $18 to $25 times 1.5 times 2 sometimes. So now I have a base. Well, what I found, right, was that how could I increase that, right? Is there an opportunity where instead of selling somebody just zero cost healthcare, right, which is fantastic and is great for most people, or a lower cost healthcare because of tax deductibles, how can I create more value and a real need, right, to a consumer that can perhaps bring that number up? And what I started looking at, and I took this from private health, right? When I was working in this big operation, I noticed that every sale that these agents went through, number one thing that they focused on was first discovery, right? Understanding the client's needs versus just going right into, what's your state, how much money do you make, and then just presenting them with, again, zero cost healthcare or $5 cost, because it's very easy, especially for new agents and especially in ACA, to just sell price, right? And just quote somebody based on the money that they make, and they get a zero plan. Perfect. Sign them up. It's a 10-minute conversation. But a few things are missing there, right? Number one, these types of calls or these types of sales where you're only on the phone with a person for 10 minutes because you're just going through the motions, they're a lower income person, or they have dependents and they're getting a ton of benefits or a ton of credits, and they have a zero cost health plan, that can be, again, as easily as a 5 or 10 minute conversation. And so you don't build a connection with that person, right? Which equals longevity, retention on the book. And then you also are, a lot of times, I find that, I would say, guys, 9 out of 10 times that you think somebody can't afford $10 a month extra, right? Or $15 a month extra, they actually can. And they're happy to do it if presented to them in the right manner, right? If presented to them in the right way. So that was my formula. That's what I ended up coming up with. I said, okay, if I can present in a way every time that I speak to someone, and instead of going right into price, rather really talk about discovery. What are this person's real needs in healthcare, right? Do they have any medical conditions? Are they on any prescription medications? Have they had any major situations in the last few years? How many times a year do they go to the doctor? How many times a year do they get sick? Have they gotten in any accidents, like fallen, car accidents? All of these questions, right? Discovery allows me to understand what this person has gone through in the last year, 2 years, and then go in and present a plan or a benefit that not only covers their health, but covers dental, covers vision, covers their financial, right? Their out of pockets. And this was what I figured out. And this is where I took my average value of customer from $32, which I think is where we were for a while, up to, right, 67, right? I almost tripled the value of a customer by having add-ons, right? But add-ons are something that you have to present properly, right? Like if somebody doesn't know what an indemnity plan is, and does everybody here, do you guys know what an indemnity plan what an indemnity plan is? Cancer plans, things that cover their finances. It doesn't cover their health, it covers their money, their savings. And so these are very, very important plans that you guys should all have. If you're new and you're going into enrollment this year, it's so important that you have indemnity plans and add-on plans that you can offer folks, right? And if you're in good positions, these are things that are already have gone, your IMOs and your uplines have gone over. Golden rule all day, baby. Absolutely. Golden rule. It's an incredible, they have some incredible products. The add-ons are fantastic. And guys, this will be, I think someone's asking if we're recording. This is going live and then it'll go on YouTube. So it'll be on YouTube for you to go back and revisit at any moment. Yeah, Golden Rule, right? Manhattan, Allstate, Aetna. There's all these great carriers out there that offer these plans. And so how do you execute? How do you use these plans properly? And how do you set up the sale so that every single time, right, you're going to get a higher value, right? Even if it's $5 a month. And this happens a lot to me. It used to happen a lot. And it happens to agents that I manage and have under me now, where again, somebody qualifies for zero healthcare. But if I'm asking that person, hey, John, or hey, Cindy, what's the budget for your healthcare, right? What do you want to spend, right, on a monthly basis? What can you afford to cover your health insurance? These is a very valid question. If you're not asking this, again, part of discovery, just like the other questions that I mentioned, if you're not asking that stuff, guys, you're leaving money on the table, because everybody's going to give you a number, whether they're way lowballing it or they're giving you an accurate number. They're going to say a number, right? Very seldom will people say I can't afford anything, and then I dig a little bit deeper, right? But very seldom will you hear that. You really will hear people say 50. Well, I can afford maybe $50 a month or $80 a month. And so you start getting an understanding, right? As you're going through that discovery, what's the household monthly income? What's the amount of dependents? And then you're plugging this information into Health Sherpa or wherever you're running applications through. You're going to see, right, what this person is going to qualify for. Most of these folks, right, this is my experience, and I think it's everybody else out there that's doing this, most of these folks are qualifying for a lot of subsidy. Now, some of that is going to start tapering off, and it has already started tapering off as a result of the 2020 COVID, additional funds that were added. That's been tapering off, but I think they're going to have to replenish, right, at some point or another, because the folks that are, they did this big push, like getting people off of Medicare, off of Medicaid, back into ACA, giving these additional credits. I think they're going to have to continue to do that. And I think you're going to start seeing some more of that stimulus, whether it's good or bad for the economy. That's a whole nother conversation, right? But I think those things are coming down the pipe. Either way, folks are qualifying for substantial amounts of credits. And most people are not using them properly, right? Most people are just getting put in a policy that either has a zero deductible and has a massive out of pocket, right? We see them out there, $8,000-9,000 out of pockets, which can be detrimental to a person, right? To a family that's making $60,000 a year or $50,000 a year. It will ruin them, right? They have to max out credit cards, or like in most cases, people just don't pay it, right? People just end up not paying these medical bills. They get the services and they just rack up massive amounts of medical bills, and that's the end of it. So if you're able to explain it, right, and really break this down. And so when I talk to somebody, that's the first step, right? I'm going through that discovery phase. I'm understanding what they need, right? If they have medical conditions, if they go to the hospital, if they take a lot of prescriptions, and then I'm understanding what their financial situation is. And I don't give them a million options because I think that overwhelms people, right? I really try to build based on proper discovery and understanding what somebody is going to, how somebody is going to use their healthcare for the upcoming year. And if it's for them and their family, then I'm doing that assessment for every single person in the family, right? And what I'm doing there, guys, is one, I'm building a relationship, a real connection with this person, because we're really trying to figure out what they need and what out of all these hundreds of plans that are out there is actually the best one for them, which is what most agents are not doing, guys. Most agents are just kind of pushing through, signing somebody up, see you later, on to the next one, especially during enrollment. So it's a real opportunity. And even more, I'll even double down on this. For those of you that have been in ACA for the last couple of years, you guys know how tough it's been competing against the deceptive nonsense that's been out there, right? And I'm very vocal about this on my social media. If you guys want to follow me, you can find me at Scale My Social on just about everywhere. But I've been really vocal because for the last 2 years, you see all these crazy deceptive ads. And a lot of these big agencies are now out of business, lawsuits to the head from the government, from just class action. So the deceptive ads, though, guys, and then so many deals, right? Garrett, you know the deal, right? Deals are getting stolen. That's the back end, the admin side of ACA for the last couple of years. It's just been the Wild West, right? So you have these bad players that are just stealing deals left and right because it's not very difficult to do it. And what it's created is a real issue, not in just how ACA is done, but the feeling that the consumer has of ACA, right? Especially that lower income tier where they were just delivered ads that literally said, hey, get $6,000 in cash or a check sent to you by doing this, right? Like those were the ads that were out there last year, and millions of people went through that. And the result now is, well, some people were put in terrible positions, right? Because they were swapped into different policies that they shouldn't have been put into, and lost coverages, right? Agents lost the business. It's just been a complete mess. And the effect is that the consumer is nervous. I believe going into this up and coming OEP, they're extremely nervous on who they do business with, on who they listen to. So I'll give you like our approach into advertising this year, and every agent under me will be using this type of creative, and every client that we manage, and we manage several large ACA agencies where we do all their lead generation. The message this year, guys, is really clear. We're going to do the exact opposite of what was being done last year, right? Which was deceptive. Don't talk to anybody, right? Just click here, answer a few questions, and sign up for insurance. No dial systems, all this garbage that was out there for the last couple of years. And some people made quick money, and some people are out, and a lot of people got in trouble. And so our message this year is, hey, if you were fooled last year, if you felt that you fell to a deceptive ad that promised you this, and this, here's how we can help, right? We're here to educate, and we're doing a lot of like online seminars, right? That's a program that we put together and we're selling with a few different partners that I have, which is a program that's created like a live webinar, right? An event where people go, and we basically drive folks from an ad, from a video that says, hey, if you fell to one of these ads last year for ACA about free money in the mail, I have an answer for you. We're putting together a free educational event where we're going to cover and explain everything about ACA. We've helped hundreds of families in the last several years. We have all five-star reviews on Google, right? So we are going the complete opposite of what was working last year, or what people were doing. And we're offering value, education. We're presenting ourselves as a presence in the industry, as experts in the industry, and that we're here to help folks, hold their hand, and make sure that they're getting the right plan, right? That's all the messaging that we're having into this open enrollment. Let me pause real quick and take a look at some of these questions and things that you guys are putting here. Let's see. Enrolling people, Gary, enrolling people ACA without supplement protection is doing them no favors. That's absolutely right, my friend. Yeah. People don't understand it. And this is so important, guys. New agents, add-ons are such a big part of insurance, right? Especially indemnity stuff that can help them protect out-of-pocket costs. So we'll break down kind of how that works here in a second. How about the carrier's limitations and exclusions on these plans? Well, look, I think there's limitations to the extent that there's certain limitations, right? There's definitely clear plans out there, and you have to read through those guidelines and underwriting metrics of each carrier. You want to make sure that you're offering a plan that can be used in conjunction with ACA. So you have to avoid those guys, right? If there's certain plans that are out there, and there are, because they're not considered real insurance, then you're going to avoid those. You're not going to run those. ACA is a lot about upfront, right? As you're going into it, there's a lot to read. There's a lot to cover. There's a lot that you need to educate yourselves on, but it's really important that you do, because, and I just made a video about this last week. It'll come out this week or next week, but it's really about going through the CMS guidelines, right? I broke down like going in there, looking through marketing guidelines, looking through what's compatible and it's not. It's all in there. I mean, there's thousands of pages. Doing the work sucks, right? But I did it. I made a video of 40 minutes where I just went in and started answering questions that people have been sending me. And I went in because all the information is there. So you do have to obviously make sure you're walking the right line, and that whatever plans or products you're selling are completely compatible, and that your customers can use them, right? Do I have a script to share? I'm going to be putting one out. This is kind of a new thing that I'm doing, guys, that I'll be talking on this particular group, and I'm going to start providing some of that. I don't have it now, but if you do follow me on social, that's something that will be rolling out soon, as well as a group and training on stuff like this. So So many stolen deals. Absolutely. Um, New guy here. What is the average ACA annual commission? Well, you figure out. I don't like to base it annual, right, guys? Because not everybody stays for a year. So if I start calculating my numbers on an annual commission, but my retention is 6 months or 8 months, then I'm way off my numbers and I might overinvest and be extremely cash poor to where I end up out of the business, right? This is calculating cash flow, guys, in ACA is critical, which is why having add-ons not only is good for the customer, it's critical for your business. It's critical for you to build what you're trying to build, unless you're doing other products, right? Like some agents, and I was doing this as well at one point. I was doing final expense because that creates cash flow, right? You get some advancements on life insurance deals, which help me invest into the ACA. But cash flow is very important. I look at my book now, obviously, because I can see the data. I look at my retention. And if my retention shows, okay, I have an average retention of 6 to 8 months, then I'm probably going to calculate everything on 5, right? Because I'm just that guy. I'm always going to work under whatever I'm seeing to account for anything that happens, which, as we know in business, things happen every single day, right? And you're shifting and moving. And so for me, I always played on the safe side. So so I always look at retention, but I think if you can average 4 to 6 months, that's, I think, an industry standard, right? That you can base on and say, okay, well, somebody's going to be on my book for that amount of time, and ACA is about lots of little acorns, right? It's not about one person; it's about hundreds of people, and the grind of getting those people into your book. The only thing that gets those people into your book faster is money, guys. That's it. And what you have to calculate is the length of time that it's going to take you to make the money back that you just invested and start seeing a profit, right? And so if a cost per deal on ACA, right, and we're getting into marketing kind of info here, we'll cross back over, but if it's costing you, right, like for us, I generate the leads for ACA. When I was growing my book of business, that's all I did. Like during open enrollment, I would spend $3,000 a week. You know, if I could spend more, I did more. I would also, after open enrollment, typically take 2 or 3 weeks off because I was completely done. I was working 15, 16-hour days in some times, you know. So, but I got to the things that I wanted. I achieved the goals that I wanted to achieve, and that was getting to 250. That first open enrollment, I hit 278. Then I wanted to get to 500. I think I hit 700 the second year. And now, as I mentioned, we're somewhere over like 1,200 is what I am. And I'm not actively on it. I did that through a combination of lead generation and organic posting, right? I grew a page that I organically would put educational content on. And after quite a while, about 6 months, maybe even a year, I really started seeing some action come through. But 80% of the business was generated through ads, through marketing. And that was it. I understood that, okay, if it's going to cost me, a couple of years ago, now the cost per acquisition on ACA has gone up, right? A couple of years ago, you could acquire an ACA client, right, for probably $50, right? 3 years ago, maybe even a little bit longer, but in the last couple of years, I was hitting, in some cases, cost per acquisitions of 60, $70 consistently. That number now, guys, is much higher. Right now, what we see is over 100, 120, 150. So now you say, okay, so if it costs me $120, or let's just say 100 for easy math, then I need to know how much I'm going to make, right? To whether I make a profit or not. So if somebody stays on the book for 4 to 6 months on average, and just the ACA commission is going to pay you, again, we talked about 18 to 25. If you're doing 1.5 to 2 heads, maybe you make 30, $40 a person. And if you don't have any add-ons, that's all you're making, right? And so now if you're making, let's say, $30 a person, right, or an application, well, and it costs you 100, you're going to break even right around month 3, right? That's the reality of how that works, right? You're going to break even somewhere around month 3. Month 4 and on are your profitable months. That's where this thing really starts kicking into gear if you have the right retention, right? And you're keeping folks on your books for longer, which goes back to what I said. If you're spending 5 or 10 minutes on a call, just signing somebody up for a quick healthcare, you can expect that that person will not be on your books for that long because they're going to jump, right? Especially, obviously, we know if they're low income right now, there's SEPs and all these different things. But if you take a little bit of extra time and you really find out the needs that that person has, explain to them their exposure if they don't build a right plan, right? If you do those things, then you're going to see, guys, and that's what I've seen, right? I saw my retention skyrocket, where my thought initially was like, no, I just need to get on the phone, get them signed up quickly, and on to the next one, because I got to get them. I got to get as many as I can. And that was actually the wrong approach, right? And many agencies out there have built massive books of business doing that. That's just not what I did, right? What I did was a little different. I focused a little bit more. Now, I still time myself because you can't spend hours on the phone with someone. So it's very important, guys, that you do have to manage your time, right? So it's a very, very, there's a balance, right? There's a balance to it where I want to, if I know, right, in discovery, which is the first thing I'm getting into, discovery with this person. If I quickly understand that this person, right, is going to get credits and they have a budget and I have a gap, right, whatever that gap is. Maybe the person said that I can afford 50 and an ACA plan comes out to $20. Well, there's a $30 gap. How can I fill that gap? How can I present this person enough value, right, and create the need for this financial, health-wise, right? If I can present those things, then that person is not going anywhere in most cases. They don't, right? Because now you've protected not just their health, but also their finances, which again becomes so important to somebody who's on a low income or you know, a little above low income. But every dollar counts, right? Especially now, like everything's so damn expensive, right? It's like, man, every dollar that we can save, every dollar that we can protect at an affordable cost is well worth it if you, the salesperson, explains it that way, right? Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions so far? Let me stop real quick. Let's see. What about we talked about that. Okay, somebody's answering some questions. Awesome. This will be on my YouTube channel, guys, which is at Scale My Social. So if you just search YouTube for Scale My Social, it'll be on there. Do you find they stick better with more hooks, ACA, HIP, DHV, etc. in them? Well, of course, yeah. Look, anything that you can do, right, to provide more value, which locks the person into you, right? Like my pitch when I go into this and I see, right, again, in that same example, somebody can afford $50 a month and their ACA plan comes out to $20. What I'm going to do is I'm basically going to pull up 3 or 4 options, right? 3 or 4. I'm going to find, again, getting how they use meds, how they use hospitals, how they use doctors. Once I have compiled that real assessment of that person, I then pull out 3 or 4 ACA plans, and then I pull out 3 or 4 indemnity or add-on type of plans, right? And I will sometimes tell folks, like, vision plans sometimes are great, sometimes they're really not, right? Like, I can do better myself. I've been wearing glasses since I was born. I end up doing better just looking for coupons and discounts than I do actually carrying a vision plan. I don't find them to be that beneficial. So I will say that to people, right? Because if I'm not using it, if I'm not doing it, I'm certainly not going to try to sell it, right? For me, it's all about helping the person first, making money second. And that's been my approach always. And it's always yielded to more money me making when I make sure that the person is taken care of. So when I explain it to people, I say, look, based on your affordability of $50 a month, I put together a few plans that I believe could really benefit you. Now, what these plans are going to do is, number one, they're going to cover your health, right? And I go through the benefits of the health, right? What are the copays? Here are your copays. Here's your deductible. Here's your out-of-pocket. Now, do you know what a deductible is? Do you understand out-of-pocket? A lot of people will say yes because they don't want to sound stupid, right? So they'll say yes. I still explain it. Perfect. Well, let me just recap it anyway. right? Because a lot of people will say, yes, they know what it is because they don't want to sound dumb, but they have no idea. They don't know the difference between the two. They think the two are the same. They think one is the other. So I explain it. And that's part of my pitch, guys, is taking the time to explain, not in like 20-minute detail, but quick, right? Let me give you a recap, right? So you understand your deductible is the first set of number that you're going to pay before the insurance kicks in and starts paying any benefits on anything that doesn't have a copay, right? That's the first thing I always explain. Now, that deductible can range from 0 all the way up to, typically we see $8,000, right? Now, once you've paid that deductible, your insurance kicks in. So for example, if you get a heart attack or you're in an accident, you're looking at a $100,000 bill, before the insurance pays any portion of that, you're going to meet your deductible. Number one, that's 5,000, 6,000, whatever options I've given them, right? Number two is going to be your out-of-pocket expenses. Now, once you've met your deductible, the insurance is going to cover co-insurance, right? It kicks in. Co-insurance quickly is a percentage of your bills. They can pay 60, 50, 70. And I go through those things with them because people don't understand this stuff and nobody else is doing it, guys. Most agents are focused on the price. That's all they're looking for. 0. Where's the 0 that I can sell them? That's it, right? And on to the next one and on to the next one. I promise you, if you take the extra time and start explaining these things to folks, you are creating the connection that I'm telling you, which keeps them in your book of business, which is what we're looking for. So I go through that. I explain that. And then once I'm done going through that, and then I go into the out-of-pocket, right? Now, the co-insurance, Mr. Jones, right? You're going to have, if they pay 50% of your bill, you're responsible for the other 50% up until your maximum out-of-pocket. This is how I word it every time. This is the safety measure that's placed on the plan to protect you from financial exposure. This means that if your bill is $100,000 and you've met your $8,000 deductible, you're now going to cover 50% of bills only up to X number. Once you've reached that number, Mr. Jones, the plan will cover 100% of your bills for the remainder of the period of the year. Correct? That's how it works. So now I've laid it out for me to say, now what I've put together here, Mr. Jones, is we've talked about the health plan, but now as you can see, we have an exposure here. As you can see, if God forbid tomorrow you have a heart attack, or if God forbid you get in a car accident, and this is where discovery comes back into play. Because if Mr. Jones told me that he had a heart attack 2 years ago, or that he had cancer 5 years ago, right? These are real fears. These are things that happen to this person, and they're more likely to happen again. And so you have to use those things to help people see the real need to cover their financial exposure that a plan leaves. And so that's how I explain it, right? I say, now we have to protect your finances. Because as you can see, you have a deductible, and as you can see, you have a maximum out of pocket. Now, with the plans that I've put together, which I'm going to show you here in a second, your second option, it's going to completely cover the financial aspect of this. So if God forbid you are diagnosed with cancer or a major medical condition, this additional plan, like an AFLAC, and that's when I say that, I'll throw in AFLAC, because everybody knows what AFLAC is, and they relate it, right? AFLAC has all kinds of indemnity plans and all kinds of different plans, right? But it's just when you say that, people go, oh yeah, I know what that is. I think I know what that is. So it opens up the door for me to explain it even more, right? You know AFLAC, right, Mr. Jones? Oh yeah, I know what that is. Perfect. That basically, it's just a plan that pays you in the event something happens. And it can either give you a cash lump sum, it can pay back bills that you send back to the company and they just pay you. There's all kinds of different benefits. Here's the ones that I put together, right? And I go through that. And now I explain how their health is covered. Then I explain how the additional plan is going to protect their exposure, their out-of-pockets, right? If it's somebody that is specifically, we're going for an indemnity plan, a cancer plan, then I'm going to go through the benefits and how those work. And then I'll talk about dental, right? And then the part 3 of the plans that were put together, Mr. Jones, is dental and vision. Is that something that you're looking for? I know that I asked you about it and you mentioned yes, but I just want to make sure. For me, and I go into vision. I've been wearing glasses since I was born. I don't find a real benefit. I find that most individuals can do better by using coupons, that you get in the mail and stuff like that. Wouldn't you agree? And most people say yes. And what that does, guys, right? And this is my pitch every single time. And if you start following me, I'll start posting that pitch so you guys can have it. That's why I can spit it out to you, even though I haven't sold ACA to like a new client in over probably a year. I would say not a year, because last open enrollment I was doing it, but like just since January, let's say, I can spit it out because I say the same exact thing to each person, right? Based on their needs and how they present. And so when I explain that I personally don't think vision is a benefit, people like it, right? Because I'm not trying to sell them something else. I'm actually pulling them away from buying something. And so it creates more trust, right? It creates that connection that, wow, this person is actually out to help me and not just stick me in a bunch of different plans, because I could care less if they take vision, right? For two reasons. One, the benefits aren't that great. Number two, for people that wear lenses, maybe, but not even anymore. Number two, they just don't pay anything, right? So like, if it doesn't do them much good and it doesn't do me much good, can that money, that budget that they have, right? Because they said they had $50. So instead of spending $10 on a vision plan, can I make their indemnity plan better? Can I protect their finances better? Which is probably more important to that person than protecting their vision or getting reading glasses, right? So that's what I do. I'm going to stop here real quick. Take a look at some of these questions. Do you still sell ACA? Well, I just mentioned. So I personally am not selling ACA right now. I still have a book of business, over 1,000 people. And obviously I'll have to communicate, but I now have a VA and I have agents under me that are actively selling ACA. What I really do, guys, now is just marketing, right? It's just marketing, lead generation for all types of lines of insurance, right? And this particular group, which is ran by David Duford, we run all ads and all lead generation for his final expense platform, right? For his free leads program. And like that, I run many agencies out there. So my day-to-day is not selling insurance anymore, even though I still have clients. I have a book of business, but I'm not actively selling, and I will not be selling this year. However, I am heavily involved in the marketing side of ACA, lead generation. For ACA this year, we will probably manage somewhere in the tune of $5 to $7 million when open enrollment is done, from 3 or 4 big agencies that we run. So my fingers are very much in ACA and the marketing side of it, and I still retain, again, because I have a book of business, I still retain FFM and all that stuff that I need. Let's see, what else do we have here? Tell me, what do you think about working with an IMO who owns the book of business, or do you think it should be better to keep my book of business? Guys, if I'm doing this, it's for me. I'm not doing it for anybody else's book of business. That's not how I look at, if I don't own the book and control the book, then what's my leverage, right? Like XYZ happens. Where do you stand? How do you can't, you don't, you have no control in the event of anything happening. So for me, the most important thing in insurance is owning my own book of business, right? And knowing that that's money that's coming to me and that it's my book. Now there's some great opportunities out there to become, where you can be an agent under an agency. You can make a lot of money, right? Those are just two very different types of setups. Not that one is good or worse from the other, because to own and run your own book of business requires the investment, right? And all of that, so that you can say it's mine. I built it. Nobody else runs it or nobody else takes it. However, if your position is, hey, I want to do ACA, but I don't have the investment, the capital to properly fund myself, then that's where a program where you are under another agency or agent, and they pay you out the commissions, is completely fine, right? Because you're going to get in the business, you're going to learn, you're going to make money, assuming you're in you're going into a good position. you'll have a great opportunity to get your foot in the door, not spend a lot of money, and see if this is even for you, right? Because a lot of people hear that you're just going into it. God, guys, you might go into it and in 2 months go, this is not for me. I'm out. I don't want to do this anymore, right? Some of you might go, man, this is incredible. I've got to get my own book going, and you're gonna, and now you'll be even more motivated, more confident in yourself to go build that book. So one or the other is not better. It just depends on your specific situation, financially, goals, all these things come into play. Um, are there enough SCPs to do this year round? I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. Guys, there's millions and millions and millions of folks that qualify for SEPs, right? Millions. You're not running out, guys. Trust me. And every day, thousands of people go into an SEP situation. Work, income, moving, there's a bunch of them. So no, I think agents underestimate the size of the market now more than ever, because remember that for the last 2 years, 3 years, let's say, 4 years, let's say, ACA was like a get rich quick thing that everybody clammed to, right? Let's go get our quick buck. And they did, and they came, and it exploded, right? Which is what happened basically last year. And now a lot of those people have ran for the hills, right? They're not here anymore. The get rich quick is dying out because the AOR changes, because carriers are cracking down on deceptive ads. I personally, guys, I know people here or in South Florida that had millions of dollars a month in books of business, residual, millions, right? 2 million, 3 million, that were frozen and done and stopped and out of business. Carriers blackballed them, started with 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. They're done. Even if they wanted to run deceptive ads, it's tough for them now. And creating the scheme or the spider to continue becomes more work than value, right? And so what they do is they go find something else, right? What's the next product that I can go do or sell, right? Which is where you're seeing right now a lot of folks jumping back into private health, med share plans, all this other stuff that's out there. Again, they all serve a purpose, but sometimes they get taken advantage of by some bad players. So I think the opportunity is humongous, guys. When blood's in the water and people are running away from something, it's typically the moment you should invest, right? When you should get involved in it. And I think we're almost there at that point in ACA where people are running for the hills, right? They don't understand how it works. They don't know how they're going to make it through this challenge that's here that we're all in. And so they leave. And those of us that stay, right, and stick and continue on will continue doing that. So let's see. Do any indemnity plans require underwriting? Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes. Most of them are instant underwriting. Some don't. Depending on a couple of questions. They do have questions, and there are some that are GI. What was I going to say? Golden Rule has a few good GI products. Let's say Manhattan has a pretty strong GI products. I think it's Manhattan or one of those. But some of them do. Some of them do require the underwriting. So again, discovery questions. You'd want to make sure, hey, have you had any major medical conditions? Because most agents aren't going through that stuff, right, guys? Most agents are just, what's your income? What state are you in? Cool, here it is, zero cost. Okay, you're signed up. I'll talk to you later. Here's my consent. Goodbye, right? And so they don't take the time to find out those things. But if you do proper discovery with your client, you will understand where to and where not to place that particular person to try to get them an indemnity plan. Indemnity plans do require the client answer questions for yes, sir, that is correct. Are you creating inbounds for ACA or lead gen for ACA? Yeah, absolutely. We do both. So we do live calls that are generated from Facebook leads, TikTok leads, Instagram leads, YouTube Shorts leads, and then and also like pre-booked appointments into like funnel calendar. So we do quite a bit of that as well. Ask individuals that were with assurance. Oh man, Not owning a book of, oh, yes, sir, John, that's absolutely correct. So assurance. Well, let's touch on that a little bit because that was, believe it or not, yeah, in South Florida, there were, I think, the majority of agents that worked for Assurance, at least the top players, the top agents that Assurance had, were all people from South Florida, and many of those people left and worked at other rooms and other stuff. But those mainly, right? Those people, none of those people own their book. But why did they not own their book? Well, because they sat in front of a computer at home and all they had to do was click it on and calls would just come in. And in the heyday of Assurance, it was nonstop back to back calls, right? These guys were taking dozens and dozens of calls every single day, writing dozens and dozens of deals. So the work is out of creating the lead, generating the lead, creating the system to funnel the lead. And so, of course, they took control of that entire book of business. They spent absolutely reckless amounts of money, which led to their demise, right? And poor management on probably all fronts, on a couple of gentlemen that created a real company. And I think they just, once they got paid, they were out. They kind of cleaned their hands, and Prudential bought it, and here we are, right? But exactly, right? None of those folks left once they pulled the plug, and those folks left. Now, I will say, Assurance was very big on teaching agents add-ons, and many of those agents have moved on to continue doing ACA. I know several of them that have continued to do ACA on their own and have now built great businesses, or are in the middle of building something really great, right? Because, and this is what I said before, one or the other isn't good or bad, right? Do you want to own your book of business? Absolutely. Ultimately, is that where you want to be? 100%. But you have to also understand where you are financially, goal-wise, and going to work for a company might be better in the beginning, right? You do run risks, like what happened to Assurance, but none of those people, none of those agents, they all knew they didn't own their book. So what they lost was a job. They didn't lose a book of business because it was never theirs. They just lost a job, right? So it's a very big difference. But as I said, many of those agents moved on to build their own books of business, right? Off of the experience and all the learning that they did through working through a powerhouse like Assurance was at one point. So good point. Okay. I was at Assurance. There you go, Garrett. Yep. I know a lot of people that were at Assurance for sure. How are you consent forms sent out and stored? Where do you get approved consent forms? Got it. Okay. That's a good question, Andrew. So our consents are all in our CRM. So we use Go High Level, right, which is a CRM. There's a bunch of different white label variations out there. Probably one of the strongest one for ACA and Medicare is Agent CRM. And I'm going to list at the end of this, guys. I'll give you some of the information on this pack that we've created, and you can go check it out. This entire session, guys, was only about me educating on how I got to my book of business. I'm not here to sell you guys anything, or like if you want to go look at what we have for ACA, feel free. But this is not a sales presentation. This is truly like, I love training, and I do this for clients and their agencies. So when David asked, "Hey, do you want to speak on this channel?" I jumped at it because I love talking about like building and just building a business, right? So, but anyway, I have a system that I've created with the owner of Agent CRM, Alex Branning, and Luis Moreno, who's a massive ACA and Medicare agent and agency owner. In the space. Guy's been in business for, I think, 20, 30 years. But we created a marketing pack that basically gives you the CRM, which has all the consent forms and automated text that send it out to the person. When you disposition the contact a certain way, and then it brings it back into the CRM. We hold that in our own server. So even though most CRMs save it, I'm not 100% sure at the amount of time, and we do know that with ACA, you need to have all your data for 10 years, right? That's what's required by CMS. So what we do is When somebody, we do it all automatically through the CRM, but once we capture it, we download it, and a VA goes in and puts it into our drive server. And that way it's there. I don't ever have to do it. But the CRM, and most CRM guys will give you the automations. A good CRM, specifically insurance related ones, will have the automations to send consents, capture consents via text, via SMS notifications, and again, completely automated. But a really good question. About 2,000 were given the axe in April. Yep, we know that. I did very well with our insurance. Very well. Yes, sir. Yes, I bet you did. Many people did. You know, guys, people were making hundreds of thousands of dollars at assurance every like year after year after year, you know. And so, John, tell us, what are you doing now? Give us a little insight. Have you left assurance, you did great there. What have you been able to now do? And are you running now your own book of business? And I'll read another one while he answers. It was never their book. Yeah, they were LOAs. Exactly. That's correct, sir. Yep, they were. It was never their book. It was just a job, guys, right? So it is the important part of owning it. Okay. All right. Let's go back into kind of to reel this thing back in, because I think I only have a couple minutes left. So here's what's important, guys. Discover, right? Discovery, understanding that client's needs. And then from there, creating a real plan, right? A real bundle for that customer that helps the customer, and for you, elevates and increases the dollar value of each person, right? Once you have those things, then it's just the leads. Where am I getting the leads from? And as I mentioned to you, I went two ways. I went organic. I said, I'm going to post every single day for the next year about educational topics on ACA. I'm just going to do it. And it was intensive and it was a grind. And after about 6 or 8 months, I started getting, 3 to 5 appointments every week. And then it went to 5 to 10. And then it went to 15 to 20 appointments every single week. But as I said before, 80% of my business when I created my book was completely off of just running ads on social media, lead generation campaign. So what I'm going to do, guys, is you guys will get an email from us that's going to, introduce you to some of the stuff that we have. If you're interested in us helping you with any kind of lead generation or ad management, you'll be able to talk to one of my guys or somebody, or you can book a call directly with me and speak to us. Outside of that, guys, open enrollment is a real opportunity that you don't want to miss. And if you're in it and you're getting ready to start, guys, be ready to do it. Because it's massive. It's a massive opportunity, but you just have to have these things calculated properly, right? You just got to know what it's costing you to get a customer. How much money do you have to invest to figure that part out, right? Is it $1,000? Is it $2,000? Is it 10 grand that I have to invest to figure out my cost of acquisitions and all those things? And obviously companies like ours and other marketing firms can help you get there obviously quicker, because we've done it. But that's step number one. And then once leads are coming in, is how do you monetize? How do you really, really get these folks to stay on the book and to add the dollar value? That's what I focused on. Guys, it took me 1.5 open enrollments, right? Of grinding, right? I'm not going to tell you that it was easy. It was not. It was not easy. As I said, it was 15-hour days, 16-hour days, every single day, Saturdays, Sundays. I did it. That was my goal. I had the money to invest. I understood what I needed to do as far as activity. And guys, when I tell you I spent $3,000 to $4,000 a week, right? And the deals that I was writing from there, many people were just not people I didn't talk to, people that said no, people that never picked up the phone. So just as a general rule of thumb here, right? Like if you're just getting into the insurance business or this is new, every lead that you buy is not going to be a potential deal, right? Know that and have the right expectation, because if not, you're going to burn yourself out of the business in a week, right? Sales is about volume, activity, contacts, right? Those are the main components. If you don't have leads, you can't have activity. If you don't have activity, you can't have sales, right? If you don't have sales, you can't have retention. So one goes hand in hand. Volume is the first part of that equation. If you're generating 20 leads a week on Facebook, you're never going to cut it. right? You want to get to a point where you're doing 100. If you're going to generate leads online, or you're going to buy ACA leads, which I feel like are getting out of control expensive, but if you're going to buy them or generate them, and they're coming from social media, you're going to want to generate 100 plus leads a week. That's where you want to get to as quickly as possible. 100 plus leads a week, because you're going to close 5, 7, 8% of them. Somebody starting, maybe 2 to 4, maybe 5, right? If you're just starting out and you're just figuring out this whole thing, it's going to take you a little bit, right? Because your process, your presentation is going to get better. But so to get better, you need repetition. Repetition, you need leads, right? It all plays hand in hand. So leads, activity, have the presentation, have that stuff. And I guess I'll just look. I have a couple minutes because it is an hour. But if some of you want to kind of hang out and we can keep talking about some of this stuff, if it's been valuable, I'll run it for a little bit longer. It looks like we still have about 50 people in here, so there's a good amount of you in here. You guys want to kind of keep it going for another 10 minutes or so, or should we end it here? Give me an answer here, and I'm happy to. I would lead AOR battle 1031. Yeah, well, you're going to have battles. You do know now, obviously, there's new systems in place, right? Like now you have to call it in. You got to do several things to be able to switch an AOR. So I believe those things are going to go away. You're still going to see some nonsense out there. There's no doubt about it, because there's people that still don't want to give up, right? They still want to make quick money. They still want to try to figure out how to scheme and scam people. And so you're still going to have to deal with that. Be vigilant out there. Report every single agent that you see or have any idea they're doing something wrong. All right, let's keep it going. All right, so we'll keep it going for a few minutes. But yeah, that's what I was saying to you. Like the industry isn't clean 100%, right? Because this stuff just happened, guys. Like this nonsense just took place. So the industry is not clean, but it is at a moment when it needs now good marketing and good agents to start clearing the way, right? Clearing the dust, cleaning all this stuff up, and being that leader, being that experience that helps people and says, hey, I know we all got screwed for insurance in the last couple of years with all this nonsense, but I'm here to help. Here's who I am. Here are my licenses. Here's who I've helped in the past. Here's why I can help you. All these things, right? Presenting yourself is a very, very, very interesting opportunity, particularly for those that are building a brand, right? Like if you're getting into ACA and you're saying, hey, do I brand myself? Like, do I start posting content? The answer is 1,001,000,000% yes. I think, my personal opinion, guys, if you're doing insurance and you don't have an online presence, gosh, I think you're again, once again, you're playing with one hand behind your back, right? If not two at some point, maybe not right now, but in the coming years of AI, more automation, more technology taking over industries, the only thing that will sustain, right, will be a brand, right? Because they can't replicate you, right? You can't be replicated. The service that you can provide to someone is still very far away from an AI being able to protect it or to take it over. And better yet, now more than ever, guys, people want to connect with other people. They don't want to really connect with brands, right? Like I'm doing this right now because it's content for me and I love doing this, right? But this is content. I'm connecting with 47 of you right now, 50 of you, however many started in this chat from the beginning. And so that's no difference on you connecting with your customers, which is why, and I'll go into this now, we're like this marketing pack that we've created right now, and I'll go into this because I do believe that what we've put together in it has really been something special, right? Which is it's a system that has all your ads, right? All your creatives. So you don't have to think about making creatives or what works, what doesn't. You have that. They're fresh, delivered to you once a month in a group setting. And their videos, images. You have access to the CRM which is through Agent CRM, Alex Branding, who owns that. You guys can go look up who Alex Branding is. He's a powerhouse in the CRM insurance space. And it comes with everything you need: automations, sites, funnels, calendar. So that's another component of it. And then this educational event, right? We create what Louise really came up with the idea. Educational event like a webinar, right? Which has been working for years and years in person events. So if you think about like Medicare agents will often do in-person events where they go to 55 and older communities, right? And they do events where they talk about Medicare and the questions and, you know, offer guidance. And then at the end of it, they, you know, they get a list of leads and they sign up a percentage of them, right? This has been going on for years and years. Nobody's ever done it for ACA. Nobody's ever done it online. So that's what we did. We said, well, what if we created this concept in line with, there's been so much deceptiveness and so much crap out there. What if we created this free educational event that was basically a PowerPoint slide and goes over all the basics of ACA, right? All the questions that people have. What's a deductible? What's out of pocket? What's co-insurance? What are prescription coverages? How do I get this? How do I get that? All the questions that people have, right? Why don't we create a PowerPoint that takes them through this event? And at the end, we get them to either book a call with that agent or click a button and connect to that agent or agency. And so that's what we created, guys. It's a 15-minute, 17-minute presentation. And we offer it in a few different ways. There's a pre-recorded version, right, that Luis made himself. You can grab that, use it on the funnel. Or we created an AI version. So my company went and took the slides, took all the presentation that Luis made, and we added AI heads to it. So now the agent doesn't have to record themselves if they don't want to. They don't have to go through this whole creation process. Rather, they choose from the AI. And the AI presentation is a person basically talking the same transcript, right? Walking them through the webinar. Or ultimately, if you want as an agent to brand yourself and you be on that presentation, then you can also do that. But the goal, guys, here's the beauty of this, right? It's a funnel, right? Because people are going to see the ad, right? And the ad will say something like, were you screwed last year in ACA and did you have to pay the government back a bunch of money because they put you on the wrong health insurance plan? If so, this is for you. I had to pay, you know, $1,000 back last year because the agent I used put me in the wrong plan, and I'm not going to let that happen again. A friend of mine told me about a free educational event that goes over everything I need to know about ACA. I'm so glad I did it. I feel so much more comfortable choosing my plan after I went through this event. It's completely online. You can watch it from the comfort of your home. If you're interested, here's the link to register, right? That's the video, somewhere along those lines. So now the person sees it, right, and says, well, shoot, yeah, I don't know. I don't understand ACA. I got screwed last year, or I got all these phone calls from Obama and from Biden, and, you know, the Biden administration calls me 3 times a day, you guys, right? Every day. Hello, we're going by the Biden administration for Obamacare, you know, and it's like, okay, whatever, you know. So it's slowed down a lot. And I anticipate that it's gonna almost die down this year because agencies don't want to risk it anymore. Last year it was like, oh, okay, we can still maybe buy these calls. Not anymore, guys. So those are shifting over. But now that person sees this ad and goes, man, this is different, right? Yeah, I do need to get informed. I don't want to pay money back, right? So we're hitting some pain points. The person clicks on it. The event runs 24/7. So it's nothing that you need to do, program, be at. It just runs, right? And it starts every 15 minutes. Whenever somebody sees it, it starts in 15 minutes. They go into it and they watch this webinar. Now, the webinar goes through, again, basic information, but is also building the person up and getting them excited about talking to somebody, right? And like getting all these things set up so that you don't have to do it. We've been doing this for many years. We've helped hundreds of consumers or thousands of consumers, and we want to help you. The service is completely free. You don't pay us. The government pay, right? So we educate, we create value so that at the end of this presentation, the person, again, can book a call or click now and connect to you. Now, not everybody's going to watch the entire thing, guys, right? Some people will register, never get on it. Some people will register and watch 3 minutes and leave. Some people will register and watch half of it and leave. Some people will get all the way to the end and not book a call. That's the beauty of this. We've captured everybody. So whether they have low intent, registered, never watched it, or they're ready right now to sign up and they click and connect with you right then and there, this funnel, right, this online presentation lets you gather all of those leads and drops them into the CRM automatically, and automation start going out to those folks as soon as it hits, right? And so it's a system, it's a lead generation system. On the front end, it's an educational event. On the back end, it's a powerful lead generation system that's going to go and put people through a series of steps. And the idea being, obviously, if somebody sits through a 15-minute presentation, they're more likely to convert into a sale, right? That's how it works. So that's what it is. And then there's a bunch of other perks, right? I created like an ads course. So if you actually wanted to learn how to run ads, there's a 13 module, 15, 20-hour course that I created that's in there. There's a bunch of other things, and I'll put the link here in a second. But that's what we made. That's what I'm using, right? My agents that I have, we're going to be using the webinar, educational event. That's what we're gearing up for. We've just released a few weeks ago. A lot of agents are already starting to use it, and I think it's going to be a good one. Let me answer some questions here. So, OAP, what's your thoughts on doing? Here's a good one. So I do want to talk about this. I've never. So regarding OAP, what's your thoughts on doing three-way calls with CMS? Will that still be required to OAP or no? As I understand it as of now, that will still be required. It's going to be an extra component. It's going to be an extra component. Here's the good news. Everyone has to do it, right? So it's an added layer, but everyone has to do it. So yes, it's going to affect the time that it takes for you to finish a sale, because you're going to have to do this, and you're probably going to have to get pretty good about it, right? There's probably going to be some better times in the day than others, right? I'm already thinking about how can agents schedule, right, calls early, very early in the morning, or at certain times when volume of calls might not be as heavy, to try to get those signups and those things done to work efficiently. So these are just things, these are just regulations, guys. They happen in every single industry, and you work through it, right? Again, the good thing is that it's a fair playing field. We all have to do it. We all got to jump on the call. And guys, right now, by the hundreds a day, agents are getting suspended, by the hundreds a day. So this is not the open enrollment season to try and cut a corner. This is not it, guys. This is not it. There's been other ones, right? And some of you that are in this room that worked at insurance, right? There were times where you could cut some corners and here and there. That's done, guys. I personally wouldn't take that risk, because you're seeing what's happening. What's happening? Well, the shit hit the store. The shit hit the fan, right? Like, all these agencies that were writing millions and millions of policies a month, hundreds of thousands a month, and carriers that were accepting all these policies without proper, verification, consents, nothing. It's just the Wild West. The pressure is coming because now consumers were affected. They complain to attorney generals. They complain to their state. They complain to CMS. And this is how it happens in every industry, guys. This happened in debt settlement. This happened in mortgages in '08. This is happening now in insurance. So this is not a new theme. This happens in just about every industry. People will take advantage of that industry until government, the giant ship, turns and starts making changes. It takes them 2, 3, 4 years to turn a ship, but now their focus is on what's happening. They now see it because they're being sued, right? The complaints are coming through left and right by the millions of dollars. And so now they see that and they go, well, wait a second, something's not right here. Oh, shoot. They open up the hood and they see that literally everything is on fire, right? And now they've quickly went to every carrier, because that's where this starts, right? The carriers and doing things like $500 gift cards and allowing somebody to promote $500 gift cards as like, money that they get right away, or all the again, nonsense, right? So that's changing, because now it's like, hey, Ambetter, which Ambetter is one of the biggest ones, because Ambetter was one of the ones that was used to write the majority of bad policies that were written and bad things that were done. A lot of them were done through Ambetter plans. And so Ambetter is on the hot fire, right? And CMS and the government is saying, hey, if you guys don't take control of this, we're going to make changes. We're going to hit you with major fines. So now what's Ambetter doing, right? They're following suit. They've been sending letters, and every carrier has, but you've seen the letters that they've sent, right? We will not tolerate, we will not allow, we will suspend, we will freeze commissions. And that's what's happening now. People's commissions are being frozen. They're not asking you about it. It's not proven, it's not, innocent until proven guilty. We're freezing everything that you have. We're suspending you. And then after all of this stuff clears, we're going to figure out what happened with you. And that is not a place that you want to be in, guys, because the government doesn't care. Your money will sit there frozen for 6 months, a year. They don't care. And right now there's a backlog of this stuff going on, right? So this is not the time, guys, to be, gray areas and cutting corners. Man, do what you're supposed to do every single time, and you will come out ahead. Let's see. I have my own book, AGS. Okay. Regarding OAP, what's your thoughts on doing three-way call? Well, we talked about that already. Thank you for the way. Okay, you're welcome. AOR battle. How do you prevent it? Gosh, you gotta stay vigilant. You gotta be on it. You gotta keep your head on a swivel. But look, end of the month, you gotta check every single account. You gotta make sure. You have to do end of month audits, which weren't a thing before, right? But we do them. We have to. Agents have to do end of month audit. They have to go through their book last day of the month, get ready, and see if anything gets switched. Go back, report, and get the people back. What about setting stands at flea markets or trade shows? Amber, I will tell you, I've never been one to do like face-to-face stuff. I just haven't. I've always been a phone guy. But I will tell you that I have seen people absolutely clean up at flea markets in South Florida, with stands at 2 or 3 flea markets. It's a grind. It's a grind. You're going after a particular person. It's a lower income, a lot of SCP, a lot of movement. Trade shows, not so much, because you're not going to get really like consumers there, unless the trade shows like specifically for that, which you don't really find those a lot. But flea markets, Walmart's doing ACA stands through some like IMOs, where just like they do Medicare, you can have a booth at Walmart, and agents do really well at those things. I don't have any personal experience, so I couldn't tell you, but I've always thought like, man, that's a great idea. Like how could it not do well? Okay. Do you think Health Sherpa will have a workaround for a three-way call this one? I hope so, man. I really do. I'm hoping that something comes up. You would think so, because they're clogging up the pipeline, right? And they know that. They know that millions of people need to sign up for insurance, and they can't bottleneck it the way it's going to be if they don't do something. So I would venture to guess that it's all hands on deck right now to figure out solutions for this. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be great and it's going to work right off the bat, right? There's going to be some real headaches. I'm anticipating more of a choppy open enrollment because of it on certain areas, right? Things like CMS calls, AR, all that kind of stuff. I am anticipating some choppiness, but we're going to work through it. Okay. Have you ever thought about selling leads instead of agents having to buy the whole program? No. I mean, yeah, sure. Yeah, I have thought about it. I just don't want to be a lead vendor. It's not what I want to do. I don't buy leads, so I don't want to sell leads, right? I'm just not a person that feels great about buying leads. I've always, in any business that I've done, and before e-com, I was in real estate, and before real estate, I was really kind of it's kind of where I started with mortgages, real estate, all through it. And in my earlier years, in my younger years, I would buy leads, and it was just a rat race. You know, it was like this hamster wheel where I was always like, because they were at some point they're no longer that good. At some point they lose quality. At some point this or that, and so you're constantly trying to go find another source and another source, and it's just a never-ending battle, you know. And then again, just like owning your book, you ultimately don't have any control of your own marketing, right? You don't know who your customer is. It's not your customer, it's the lead company's customer. They just sold you their product, but they own that customer in a sense, right? They own the data. That's what I mean by that. And data more than ever, guys, is just more and more relevant and important, even for the little guys like us, right? Like, of course, at scale, data is the most powerful tool out there. But now more than ever, with all the tools and AI and apps that we can use as little business owners, small business owners, independent agents, I think data is everything, you know. And I'll tell you, and you can watch some of the interviews on my YouTube channel. I just had one with a final expense agent. She's been using us since like February or March or something like that. But she's a rock star. She's incredible on the phone. She's killed it, and she went through every single lead, every lead vendor, live transfers, all of it, and she just wasn't getting consistency. She'd get sales, but her costs were super high. Consistency was really lacking. She didn't really understand the messaging that was being put out to the leads, to the people that were coming in, and so she went to our ad management services, right? And we've been running her ads now for since March or so, somewhere around there. And she's 8 times her investment in the last quarter. I'm not sure what she's been doing lately, but I just did this interview with her, and and like her, I have hundreds of agents, right? That all have gone through buying leads and get to a point where they go, man, I'm done buying leads. Now, keep in mind this, right? Compliance just keeps getting tighter and tighter on all of us, guys. It's incredible, but compliance is now, right? 2025. If you don't know, go check it out. TCPA rules are done. They changed, right? So now it's a one-to-one consent. You must have consent, only one person, right? So you generate a lead vendor can no longer sell that lead to 5 companies legally, right? They still can if they want to be shady, but most of the big players are not going to be doing that. Right now, starting January 1st, somebody fills out a lead. That person is consenting to one company calling them about that request that they made. It's called the one-to-one consent. Go look it up. TCPA. It's been in the works for the last 2 or 3 years. They've given businesses a year and a half to get ready for it. It kicks off. It's been approved. It was approved last year. It goes into gear January 1st. So come January 1st, you're not going to be able to buy shared leads, or you shouldn't. Age data is a thing of the past. Again, unless it's being consented to you directly. And so things are going to change, right? How you buy leads is going to change. And I think as we move into 2025 and further, privacy, people's privacy, becomes more and more important. We see Facebook and lawsuits constantly about privacy and all this stuff. I think that only grows and gets stronger. So you generating your own lead and having control of that information and knowing that it's consented to you, fresh, exclusive to you, is a humongous value. So I'll never say never, because you never know. But as of right now, I have zero plans in ever selling leads. My goal is to help an agent or an agency, which we have a ton of agencies that we manage. My goal is to help them create these systems. Still going to make money, right? I'm going to make money doing it because I know what I'm doing. I know how to do it. But I've now, right? It's like the story of the fisherman, right? You teach them how to fish and they're going to fish forever. You keep giving them fish, and right when I'm gone, then what, right? So that's my theory on it. I report over 20 agents. Man, good for you. Fantastic. Keep reporting. Any advice for someone who just knows the ACA part of the business and not much on the indemnity plans? Just jump in and learn as I go. That's what I did, man. I didn't know anything about indemnity plans, add-ons. It was the first few weeks of like, what health, what heart attacks, what it will, yeah, you just trial and tribulation. You got to go through it, man. You have to go through the learning. Nobody can prepare you for that kind of stuff until you just go through it, and you'll become a master at it. After a week, you'll understand it more. After 2 weeks, you'll get it. After 3 weeks, it's flowing a lot faster. Start now. Start practicing now. Go get contracts on that. Um, have you ever thought about? I already answered that. Will we need to be licensed in multiple states? Quick answer to that one. Yeah, I mean, look, you should, right? I mean, you don't have to. If you're going to generate leads, you'll do better if you're if definitely if you're licensed in multiple states. I'm licensed in every FFM state, so I don't do any business, or we don't do any business in a non-FFM state. So if it's a state ran exchange, we're not there, because you got to get that state's own certifications and stuff. But the 18 or 19 states where FFM is the play, I'm licensed in every one of them. I market in every single one of them. Biden admin calling for Obamacare. Yeah, yeah, literally. That's what I've no lie. And by the way, they are calling from the Biden administration, which is just like, man, you've completely lost sight of like reality, right? But that's what they're doing, and people believe it. Unfortunately, some consumers will believe it. This again is called Go High Level. Go High Level, absolutely, guys. Yeah, and what I'll do is I have a link to Go High Level. If you guys end up using it, it gets you a free month. So let me post that on here, and it's just a coupon. It's an affiliate link, but it gives you. I've done a lot of volume with them, so it'll give you a month of Go High Level. And if you use my link, I will provide my ACA workflows that we have and that I utilize. So let me pull that up here for you guys while we go here. What else? Let me answer a couple more questions, and then we're going to wrap it up, guys. It's been I think an hour and 25. So I think I'm probably pushing the limit here. I appreciate everybody kind of hanging in, and still we're having a good conversation. So, okay, from my experience, must have been to Oscar. Centene was never an issue. Most of the policies were placed for Cigna with zero deductible. You're right, John. Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, I personally don't have a lot of like crossover from like Blue Cross, Centene policies. I actually have a tremendous amount of Cigna business because in Georgia and Florida, Cigna is a pretty decent carrier. And also Texas. Actually, in Texas, I have quite a bit of Blue Cross. I think that's the most that I have in Texas. But you're actually correct. I think, and Ambetter. Ambetter was that was a big one. That was a big one, especially when they started rolling out the $500 gift card, thing where the person goes and has to sign up for this thing, and every month. What they didn't say, or what people weren't saying on the ads, is that you don't get $500 like, here it is. You can accumulate up to $500 over the course of an entire benefit year if you go on this application and you do these surveys and you partake in this like healthier program that they rolled out. It was just another maneuver and loophole to try to get consumers into their plans. And then of course agents got a hold of it, and then that's where it exploded into literally cash checks getting to people. Will all those people from Assurance and the other companies have to do a three-way to get a new plan, or will they have to get a new plan? Everybody right now, as it stands right now, you have to switch someone from a current plan to another, or AOR switch. You have to call CMS in order to get that done. What's your opinion of cross-selling life insurance? I wish I would have done more of it, Brandon, if you're still in here. I really do, because I think especially the older demographic, right? Your 35, 40, 55 plus people. Gosh, what a great opportunity to talk about, hey, is your family protected for burial? Is your mortgage protected on your home? I'm a strong believer in cross-selling every plan that, other products. I wish I would have done more insurance, like life insurance cross-selling. I didn't. I stuck with a lot just heavy indemnity stuff, and it done me very well. I also know many agents that went heavy cross-selling life insurance. And again, have done fantastic, you know, and there you have, it creates even more cash flow, right? Because now maybe you sell a policy that's $50, right? Completely separate from health, 50, 60, $70. And now you're getting a six, seven, $800 commission on it because you're getting the advances, you know. So I would certainly try it for sure. Uh, where do you get info on your plans? You can go to scalemysocial.io/booking. And from there, let me put this in here, guys. And from there, I'll put the link. You can book a call with someone on our sales staff, and yeah, and we'll go through everything that we have. We do a couple things, you know. Like I said, we do ad management, which is a monthly service fee, where if you already have, like, you know, your ad account, and you already have like a setup, then we just go in and create everything else around it. Here's the link. I just posted it. Here's the link for Go High Level directly. Again, I believe it gives you 30 days, 30-day free Go High Level. And then let's see. Let's keep rolling through these. Okay. What's your opinion? Where do you get more on your plan? What's going to happen to the cost of What's going to happen to the cost of advertising in 2025? I don't think through the roof, but certainly higher. Yeah, certainly higher. I think there's a balance because a lot of people have left. A lot of people are in, but a lot of people have left ACA. So I think the ad dollars, even though the cost to acquire a person has gone up, I don't think it's going to go like through the roof. I believe it's still a good model and a profitable business. Again, you might have to lay out money, right, for a longer period of time before you see it coming back. But I do believe that in the long run, the retention it outweighs it. Yeah. Let's see. Do you think AI is taking over life insurance? Absolutely not. No, I don't believe that. Can you imagine AI trying to totally sell a life insurance plan? It's tough. Again, you know, I might be short-minded. I think we're far away from it. If that will come, and I listen, could it come? Yes. It's far away from here. It's very, very far. It's more likely that AI continues to benefit all the other components about selling insurance, administrating insurance, writing insurance, but the actual sale of insurance, it still, I believe, requires a human element, one that AI hasn't reached. That's my personal opinion. Yeah, I wouldn't. I would just focus on building your business now. Which carriers do we use for indemnity? I use a lot of Golden Rule. We use Allstate, Aetna, Manhattan. I think those are our main ones. NatGen. Somebody put Garrett NatGen. NatGen, some great plans out there, you know. Thanks for all the info. How much do you think an independent agent spend a week on Instagram? You know, look, guys, again, I would say that if you start advertising on social media, you're going to start slow, right? 250, $300 a week. Then if things are working, you got to quickly go to 400 and 500, and then quickly to 6 and 7. And then you scale from there. Like I said, when I was on the phones, and agents now producing and going into AP are like full-time agents that have been doing it, and they're just gearing up to just maximize everything. They know it works. They know if I put in $1, I get 3 or I get 4 back. Those are people that are going to be doing 3,000 a week, you know. Agencies doing hundreds of thousands a week, millions a month in ad spend. Remember, it's a finite amount of time that we have to capture really good customers, right? People that are not going to change throughout the year, but rather really need the insurance. They're going to find it. They're going to stay in it all year round. All right. Perfect. All right, guys. I'm checking out. Again, follow me, all social media, at Scale My Social. If you want to book a call with us and talk to us, let me just make sure I'm going to leave that last one here. And I'm doing a couple of these. I am doing another one, I think in 2 or 3 weeks. So just stay tuned for that. Obviously, if you got this email, you will get that one. And Here's the link if you guys want to book a call with one of our guys and talk about our plans and the things that we can do. Appreciate everybody participating, hanging in. It's been awesome, guys. Go out there and go get it, man. If I can help in any way, if you just have a question, just hit me up on social media. You know, again, IG, any of them, and I'm happy to answer questions. All right, everybody, have a great Monday, guys. Go get this week, man. Get after it, guys. It's going to be a good week. All right, I'm ending it. Take care.